Hi everyone, my name is Ryan and I'm the midlife skier. As you may know, I've recently become obsessed with skiing after being out of skiing for the past 20 to 25 years. And that's driven a lot of things for me. For me, one of the main draws of skiing, the thing pulling me back into it, is the absolute beauty of the terrain and surroundings. Being out in nature, up in those mountains, just so beautiful. So in order to enjoy this as much as possible, it was important to me to be able to capture video of this scenery as I ski. I love POV or point of view footage. So I wanted to be able to get my own. After doing research, I decided on getting the GoPro Hero 13 camera. Today, I'm going to talk about my video setup and the equipment that I use and why I chose the GoPro. I think there's a few reasons. It's pretty small and lightweight. There are tons of mounts and accessories for it. The battery life seems decent. One of the big things for me is that it captures GPS data with the video, which is really cool to me because then you can add speed, elevation, and map data overlays to your videos. This is interesting to me because I'm a geography buff and I also like to be able to track my progress throughout the season. I want to be able to look at my speed during runs and things like that. At this point, I did not consider a 360-degree camera. I just don't think I need it for my level of skiing. And also, it looks like the editing of the video is much more involved with a 360 camera. Having said all this about the GoPro Hero 13, I'm sure there are other cameras that are just as good, and I'm sure others will argue maybe better. The Insta Max looks like a good camera, and I'm sure there's a few others. I think there were some DJI options, maybe the Osmo or something like that. Of course, DJI headed for probably a ban in the U.S. here soon. So that definitely didn't seem like a path to go. I just wasn't familiar with Insta. I'm sure their product is fine as well, though. I'm definitely not wedded to the GoPro, but it was brand I knew. All the features lined up really well with what I was looking for. So there was a sale that kind of helped. You may have heard that in some of my other videos. I love sales. So anyway, that's why I went with the GoPro Hero 13, and that's why I'm excited to use it this season. I got my GoPro over the summer, and I actually had the idea to try it out while bicycling. I wanted to kind of hone in on the best settings that I liked. And so anyway, it allowed me really to do that and perfect the settings and the type of video I wanted to capture. Looking at different videos on YouTube as well as my own videos, I really greatly prefer undistorted video, as in video without a fisheye effect. So I use those settings. I think it's called ultra linear on the GoPro. I don't like the super wide field of view if it means there's this weird distorted effect. I want it POV linear. That's just what I enjoy. I also noticed in doing these bike tests that the built-in microphone tended to generate a lot of wind noise. So to get around this, I bought a DJI Mic Mini. Hopefully it'll keep working for a while. And linked it via Bluetooth to the GoPro. And so what I do is I put the wind muff on it and then put this mic on my helmet strap. So it's on my helmet. So it's picking up the audio that I'm hearing even as I ski. So it really seems to cut down on the wind noise. And it also seems to deliver just much better audio quality, and again, without the wind noise than the built-in mic. Another consideration or thing I learned was that at the high resolution settings I think it's 5.3K or 5.4K, ultra linear, and high quality 60 frames per second. The GoPro battery only lasts about 45 to 60 minutes, not very long. Therefore, I bought 3 extra batteries so that I can capture 3 to 4 hours of video per day. Probably overkill. Who wants to sit through and edit that much? But I just wanted to be sure that no matter what the condition, no matter the temperature, I would have plenty of extra battery. So that's another thing I learned from kind of trying out my GoPro over the summer. So I was recently able to get my first turns in of the 25-26 season out at Keystone. And this gave me a chance to try out my GoPro camera for the first time skiing. I was very excited about that. The camera worked really well in general. I really didn't have any problems with it. It was exactly as I expected. I think again those bike trials I did over the summer really helped me a lot come up the learning curve and dial everything in how I want it. The battery life was decent as expected, roughly around an hour per battery. I also had a chance to try, as you'll see, I'm into gadgets and things like that. I tried this hoodie cam accessory. Because one thing that occurred to me, being I work in electronics, and I know that battery life definitely degrades in cold weather, and I know the GoPro, it puts out a lot of heat. And so it seemed to me like, hey, if you had some kind of wrapping around it, it could keep itself warm and keep the battery in good shape, even if it's very cold outside. And so then I stumbled upon this hoodie cam thing. And so I ordered it and tried it out. And it worked fine. It didn't cause any issues. One thing I noticed that I'll have to keep an eye on was after I went through my first battery, the battery, I knew it was going to die on the lift ride up after a few runs. And so I just kept it running and let it die. When I got to the top of the lift, obviously, I swapped out batteries. And when I popped in the new battery, the camera reported that it had cut off mid recording due to overheating. It did not say it was due to a low battery. So I don't think that's right. I think it was a low battery. I mean, I knew the battery was getting very low when I checked on it. But anyway, that's something to keep an eye on. I took the hoodie cam off because at this point it was getting into the upper 20s. The camera seemed like it was doing fine. The batteries were lasting fine. But the hoodie cam, it may actually be too effective. I don't know. So I think going forward, I'm only going to use it in temps below 10 or 15 degrees Fahrenheit, just to try and avoid any issue. The other thing I found was that the external DJI mic seemed to work really well as well. I was happy with the audio. I was also really glad that the mic didn't fall off at any point. I was a little nervous, it was on my helmet strap. I was nervous it would, somehow fall off, but it didn't. Even when I fell, I had, my first fall of the season, and luckily it wasn't too bad of one. And after I got up and skied away, I thought, oh, I didn't look around. I'll bet for sure that mic came off, but it didn't. It was still barely hanging on, but it was there with me. So it'll be interesting to see how that works through the rest of the season. The other thing I had the chance to try out was the helmet mount, obviously, and the magnetic attachment. I've got this, you can get these on Amazon, these magnetic attachments to hook to the bottom of it. And I was worried how secure it would be. But again, it was rock solid. So popping the camera on and off was easy, and it didn't move around, and it never got loose or certainly didn't come off. So that worked really well. I did get the anamorphic lens for it, but I didn't try that out this first trip. The anamorphic lens, from trying it out over the summer with my bike videos, I know there's a few caveats with it. So it definitely can get some really cool, interesting footage. There is a little bit of distortion on the edges of a very, very wide field, but I can live with it. One thing I noticed though was that once you put this anamorphic lens on the GoPro Hero 13, the Wi-Fi connection to the phone goes away. So I use the preview function where on my phone it's kind of showing me what the camera's seeing, and I can start recording, stop recording. I can see the angle, make sure it's the angle I like. And what I found was that with this anamorphic lens, like, that just dives. Like, all of a sudden the phone cannot connect to the camera. Doing a little bit of research, I found that this is a known issue, that the anamorphic lens, it's so big, and I guess it's metal, that it's covering up the antenna on the camera that makes the Wi-Fi connection. And so therefore it kind of accidentally shuts down the Wi-Fi connection of the camera. And so the problem is that you can no longer do the preview. You can't, from your phone, start and stop recording. Some people suggested trying 2.4 gigahertz instead of 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection. I haven't had a chance to try that. Maybe it'll work, maybe not. But either way, you have to manually control the camera most likely when this lens is in place, and that makes it a bit more inconvenient. The other issue with the anamorphic lens when I tried it over the summer was that it definitely drops the battery life. You're getting about 10 to 15 minutes less per battery than you would with the normal lens. So that's an issue as well. It's going to go through those extra batteries pretty quick. So I'm thinking, maybe I'll do like one battery's worth of anamorphic footage and then the rest with the normal lens. But again, we'll see how things go over the season. So far, so good. I'm excited to see the footage I captured this season. The footage I got from Keystone, I was pretty happy with. I love the auto horizon leveling feature, and of course the image stabilization. And again, I know that's not super unique to GoPro, but it's really cool though. It works well. When I watch YouTube, you'll see some content creators where they're capturing this kind of POV footage, and clearly they must not know about these settings because the camera's tilted, the horizon is not level, it's moving all over. And so that's why I love, maybe they have an older version of the camera, but I really like this version that it gives you that horizon lock and the auto stabilization. One of my preferences is that I don't want to see me skiing. I know a lot of footage is people of the camera on themselves while they ski. And I have no interest in seeing myself or other people skiing. I want to see the footage, the terrain. I want to see the point of view. So anyway, GoPro's working great so far. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, knock on wood, I don't lose any accessories or things like that, but we'll see how it goes. I'll report back at the end of the season to tell you how things went. So that's it. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.